If you want to be a better Brawl Stars player, I got something you definitely want to know. Not only am I going to tell you who the best and worst brawlers are, but also why, putting them in a tier list and a brawler ranking, and telling you how good they are in every game mode in Brawl Stars. Let's do it. And of course, got to give a big shout out to the Coach Cory Pro Squad for helping make this tier list. If you want to follow some of the best pro players in Brawl Stars, find links to do so down below in the description. All right, now from the last overall Brawler tier list, we not only had 2 new game modes, but a bunch of maps got removed, and we also had some balance changes. So there's going to be a lot of changes in this tier list. All right, we're going to start out at number 29, and in the F tier, the worst brawler in Brawl Stars, it's gotta be Tara. Tara was already one of the worst brawlers in Brawl Stars before the last update, and then 2 new game modes came out that Tara is horrible in, so it really did not help her out, and she did not get any buffs, so she is definitely one of the worst brawlers. If you're gonna play her anywhere, definitely play her in Brawl Ball. Otherwise, you can play her, but I would really not recommend it that much. All right, now the second worst brawler in Brawl Stars, also in F tier, it's going to be Frank. Frank, he, again, 2 new game modes came out that he is also really bad in. But if you're gonna play him, definitely go in Brawl Ball or in Siege. Again, though, he's not in a very good place. He definitely needs a buff. All right, now in the D tier, at number 27, it's going to be Jessie. Jessie's actually falling a little bit in this tier list compared to the last one, partly because she's not that great in the new game modes, but also because 2 of the mid brawlers that she faces really often is going to be Piper and 8-Bit, and low health, low damage brawlers do not do well versus those 2 mids, so Jessie is definitely struggling. At number 26, it's going to be Nita. Nita also falling a little compared to the last ranking, a lot because the 2 new game modes that came out, Nita is just not very good in. So Nita really, I mean, if you're gonna play Nita, definitely play her in Brawl Ball, but Nita is also not in a great place right now. At number 25, and a big faller, is gonna be Crow. Crow dropping 12 spots from the last brawler ranking, and if you're wondering why, the biggest reasons are 8-Bit and Piper. Both of those brawlers are everywhere right now, and Crow really struggles with that. On top of that, Pam got a buff, another big Crow counter. Bo is pretty good, another great brawler versus Crow. So Crow, while his stats may not be that bad, really this is a bad meta for Crow. At number 24, also in the D tier, it's Poco. Poco, definitely pretty solid in Jump Grab and in Brawl Ball. Poco's a very team-oriented brawler, and those 2 new game modes came out, and Poco is just not good in them. Damage matters a lot in those modes, and Poco really doesn't have it. On top of them being solo modes, and Poco's really a team brawler, as I said. At 23 in the last brawler in the D tier is Penny, and Penny suffers from the same fate as Jessie, where she's also really bad versus Piper, versus 8-Bit, even not very great versus Bo, which are brawlers that are going to contend with Penny a lot of different times. If you're playing Penny, you might consider playing those brawlers a lot of times instead of Penny. Penny is great in Siege and definitely pretty good in Gem Grab, in Bounty, but really, those 2 new game modes also didn't help Penny as well as the meta. All right, now we're in the C tier. These brawlers are starting to become more viable across multiple game modes and maps. At number 22, it's going to be Barley. Barley with the biggest drop out of every brawler from the last tier list, -17. Huge reason for this has got to be basically Barley got replaced by Tick. Tick is now the best thrower in the game, and it is not close. But on top of that, the 2 new game modes that came out, Barley is just not good in, like really not good in. So Barley really struggling right now, and he's been replaced. But at 21, it's gonna be Dynamite. Now Dynamite really didn't drop, he actually gained a little bit, partly because he wasn't ranked very well to begin with in the last brawler ranking, but he's also a little bit better in the 2 new game modes than Barley, so didn't quite suffer like Barley did. At number 20 and in the C tier is Colt. Now Colt is dropping 6 spots in large part because of Piper and 8-Bit. Really, those 2 brawlers kind of dominate Colt a majority of the time they face him, especially as long as you have, with Piper, you gotta be having snappy sniping, not rolling reload. I know I said that one time. Now, Colt is really good in takedown. It's pretty good in Lone Star, but really it's just not a good meta for Colt as a long-range brawler. At number 19, it's gonna be Mortis. Mortis dropping 12 spots, and the biggest reason for Mortis dropping so much has got to be the consecutive nerfs to Coiled Snake, which was definitely the best part about playing Mortis. He's still probably a better brawler than he would be without it. I mean, it's still his best star power, but Mortis is not super strong right now for sure. Number 18, it's going to be Rico. Now, Rico, very similar brawler to Colt, and he suffers a really similar fate to Colt in that he also, as a long-range brawler, this is not a great meta for him, but also, Rico's a very map-specific brawler, and look, he wants more maps where walls are a huge part of it. There's definitely some, but hey, Rico wants more. At number 17, and in the C tier, it's going to be Bull. Bull's actually going up 6 spots in large part because people are really starting to realize how strong of a star power Tough Guy is. Tough Guy is seen everywhere in competitive play right now. He's actually really good in Siege and in Heist, but he's also really good in the new game mode Takedown. So Bull, while those are really the main modes I play him in, he's really strong in those modes. At number 16, it's gonna be Daryl. Daryl's actually great in the 2 new game modes, so it's definitely a big bonus for him, but this is a bit of a long-range meta, and that doesn't exactly suit Daryl. He's struggling to find enough. Look, his roll doesn't quite reach a lot of times. With Daryl, you want to be hitting someone as you hit that roll, and then you can easily get the kill, but if you're not actually knocking them back, Daryl's going to take a lot of damage along the way. At number 15, the last brawler in C tier, it's El Primo. El Primo also getting a solid bump, partly a similar story to Bull. People are really realizing how strong of a star power Meteor Rush can be for El Primo. You can use it really well in a couple game modes like Brawl, but also in like Siege or in Heist. And El Primo's also a really good brawler in Takedown, so that's a definite plus for him. All right, now in the B tier, at number 14 is Shelly. Shelly actually dropping 13 spots, but really it's because it used to be the overpowered Band-Aid Shelly, which was incredibly strong, healed 5,000 health. Now it heals 1,800 health. It's still really good, or okay, it's still a pretty good star power, and it's gonna keep Shelly basically a relevant brawler, but otherwise, she's not nearly the OP brawler she was before. At number 13, it's gonna be Carl. Carl actually got a small buff from the last tier list, so he's a little bit of a better brawler, but he's a pretty well-rounded brawler, right? High health, solid damage, and pretty good range. He can be a very versatile brawler that's not very map dependent. At number 12, it's gonna be Leon. Now, Invisi Heal did get a buff, but the biggest reason for Leon's jump has got to be the 2 new game modes, which he is really good in, especially in Lone Star, where he's arguably the best brawler there. So Leon, he appreciates these new modes. At number 11, it's going to be Bo. Now, Bo is just a very relevant, but not really strong brawler in the meta right now. He can contend with pretty much everyone, and he's useful on the majority of maps. If it's a grassy map, you go ahead, throw on that grassy star power. If not, you got Snare Bear, which is one of the best star powers in the game. So Bo's in a solid place right now. At number 10, and the last brawler in the B tier, it's gonna be Pam. Pam did get a small buff from the last balance changes, but she's also pretty good in the 2 new game modes, and this is a good, relatively good meta for Pam. There's a good amount of long-range brawlers, and Pam contends with all of them, but also that means her turret is more useful than it would be in any short-range sort of meta, which it is not. At number 9, and in the A tier, it's going to be Rosa. Rosa dropping a little bit, but she's still a very relevant brawler. That shield, high health, just still really strong in game modes like Siege and in Brawl Ball, where you can force goals in or go for bolts or defend against the robot. So Rosa, maybe a little bit more niche now than she used to, but still has some very strong specific uses. At number 8, and in the A tier, it's going to be Jean. Jean, mixed review for the new game modes, great in Lone Star, not that great in Takedown, but Jean is basically still one of the best individual killers in the game, especially in any sort of team-oriented mode, although in Lone Star, he just has a super long range, and he can steal kills and be involved in a lot of fights, so he's still a great brawler. At number 7 in the A tier, it's going to be Brock. Brock, I feel like, is the most well-rounded, really long-range brawler. He's never been one of the best brawlers, but he's never been bad. He's always been a pretty good brawler. Really good long range with good damage and a really good utility super, breaking down walls, area of effect. Brock's a solid brawler, usable in the majority of maps and game modes. At number 6 in the A tier, it's going to be Spike. Spike is basically the jack of all trades, kind of like Brock, as far as how versatile they are. They're both really versatile brawlers. Spike is definitely more versatile though. Really great damage, technically has really long range if you count the spikes, although that's not going to be a lot of damage. But with Curveball, you can be very consistent in hitting chip shots, but Spike, attacking around walls, really good damage. Definitely low health is his weakness, especially if you're not using Fertilizer, but he's a very versatile brawler. At number 5 and in the A tier, it's going to be 8-Bit. Even though Extra Life got a big nerf, 8-Bit is still a great brawler. His damage is just so strong, combined with his really long range. 8-Bit is just a hard brawler to walk into. He can be really controlling, and in any team-oriented mode, using that turret can be really good and really useful. So 8-Bit is definitely strong right now. At number 4 and in the A tier, we got BB. BB, we did see a small nerf to Home Run, which is basically seeing everyone start to use the shield star power for BB, but BB really didn't get nerfed overall. That was a great star power before, so now it's basically everyone's using it. And BB's still really relevant in every single game mode. Really high health, really good damage. The knockback is so useful in a lot of different ways. BB's a great brawler. At number 3 and in the A tier, it's going to be Tick. Tick taking a huge jump up from the worst brawler in the game to now the 3rd best brawler in the game, the best thrower, probably now the title of the most annoying brawler in the game to face is Tick. Now, I do wish he had a set attack pattern, but his attack pattern is incredibly long range for a thrower, which is kind of dumb broken because you can't, look, throwers can attack over walls, and if you're not a thrower, unless you have your super or a special condition, most brawlers cannot attack over walls. So they can attack you without you attacking them. It's a kind of broken ability, and he has incredibly long range for it. Yeah, Tick is a great brawler right now. At number 2 and in the S tier, it's going to be Piper. Piper actually got another nerf to snappy sniping, but she is still one of the best brawlers in the game and the best long-range brawler in the game. Even with the nerf, it's still an amazing star power, and it just makes her really relevant. Look, Piper is amazing pretty much every single game mode as long as you have snappy sniping. If you don't have snappy sniping, I'm sorry. She's not that great of a brawler. She's still usable, but it's a big difference. But the undisputed number 1 brawler in the game has got to be the new brawler, Sandy. Sandy basically great in every single game mode except for takedown. Yeah, you definitely want to use Sandy whenever, wherever you can. All right, if you made it this far, you get a little gift. I'm going to show you basically the categories for every single game mode from good, great, poor, okay. Putting all the brawlers for every game mode up on the screen. They're only going to be shown quickly, so screenshot it if you want them. Pause the video, do what you got to do. Become a better player by checking out more great tier lists for Brawl Stars like the best 1v1 brawlers, best supers, best attacks, and more right over there. That is going to be it for today's video, though. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you later.